This is Providence Television International, the game changer.
Welcome to the program Thoughts and Visions of Dr. Emmanuel Eyariva on Providence Television International. My name is Ugbebo Ikekwa. It is only in Nigeria that you find personal assistants having personal assistance, and most times in a convoy of maybe a political leader, you find a convoy of about 16 to 14 cars who bears the brunt of the cost of governance. So we'll be looking at the topic, the high cost of governance in Nigeria. And with me in the studio is Dr. Emmanuel Eyariva. You're welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm always so delighted to be here. And this is a topic that will be of interest to many Nigerians, obviously, particularly now that we're going through financial economic stress. I think it's important we talk about this. So welcome again to all our viewers at home and abroad. And I'm sure that you're going to have a good time with us. Thank you.
All right. Before we continue, if you remember, the young man in Burkina Faso, he did something recently. The young leader of Burkina Faso, he did something recently. He cut the salaries of the leaders, of those who are in service. He cut the salaries and then increased the salaries of the civil servants. Do you think that this kind of thing can happen in Nigeria?
Why not? We are living in a committee of nations. And Nigeria is particularly blessed, you remember, blessed with all kinds of resources, particularly when it comes to natural resources. So we have the means to be able to do this. But at the same time, I think that our leaders ought to take a second look at the way they spend money in governance. Most of our leaders are in government, but they are not in governance. That is what I've discussed. In fact, I think I stated in one of my books that government must be in tandem with good governance. Okay? And you said it, yes, you are right. These days we have special assistants who also have their own special assistant. And the whole thing is like a spiral. It goes down the line. We have a horde of special assistants. Something struck my mental state yesterday. Just yesterday, I was going through the papers and I saw this placement. I think the governor, one of the governors in the South, was celebrating something. And there was a message to the effect that, well, apparently I think they were congratulating the governor. Yes, good enough, you can. But what struck me was that there was, and it looks strange to me, you will now have what they call a college of special advisors.
Okay.
And you also have what they call a dean of special advisors, the college of special advisors. And how many were there? 30 special advisors.
Okay.
In a country that is, well, so to speak, that is struggling to survive. And you can be sure that these special advisors, 30 of them, also have a horde of special assistants down the line. So you begin to ask yourself, why do we have all of this? I mean, it's slightly outrageous, and it's a burden on the economy of whichever state, really. So I think that we must reduce, and quite rightly, we must reduce the cost of governance in this country. And a lot of people have trumpeted it over time, that look, we need to reduce to the barest minimum. And I have given examples. I mean, for instance, when we were in government, when I was chief executive to Governor Yogun in this same state, we had just about 10, thereabouts, commissioners, and we had, I remember very vividly, about 5 special advisors. We didn't have this whole host of special assistants and things like that. And government was moving very smoothly, effectively. Yeah. But now what do you have? Maybe as a result of patronage. But patronage, political patronage can be in other dimensions, not to bleed the economic resources of the state. At the federal level, you don't even just go there. You don't go there at all, because that's a different ball game altogether. I mean, a country where you have over 40 ministers, I'm not even talking of special advisors, I'm not talking of special assistants. And look at this. Some of these positions overlap very easily. You have communication strategy, then you have communication or whatever, all kinds of nomenclatures. And you begin to wonder what's going on. So I think government must have a rethink, seriously speaking.
All right, let us move a little, concentrate a little more on the salaries and allowances of our senators.
Well, everybody knows that by now. It's not a secret anymore. I mean, what these guys are earning, it's not a secret. But what baffles me is, in spite of what they are earning, they still ask for more. Year in, year out, you have, at the end of their tenure or whatever, they have new cars, new housing allowances, newspaper allowances and things like that. And for heaven's sake, I mean, look at newspapers. Why can't a senator buy his own newspapers? Why must it be at the expense of the state? Why? A few years ago, workers at National Assembly went on a strike. Okay, you remember that they were not getting their due from the system. And yet, these were senators who were earning unearthly allowances. So you begin to ask yourself, why is this so? And I think I can provide a solution. The solution is, look, we are overburdened by some of these things. And I think that explains why a lot of people do all kinds of things to get into the place. All kinds of things, okay, because they know that it's politics of bread and butter. But we should look beyond that, really. I mean, Nigeria, we should have nationalistic leaders with strong national interest rather than personal interest. That, I think, is where our problem is. We must look at national interest first. Look, I've said it before on this same station. The commissioner in the state, why can't he drive himself to the office? Why? If he must have a driver, let him pay the driver.
Okay.
Yes, let him pay the driver. I mean, that's a luxury anyway. So if he wants the driver, he wants a chauffeur-driven vehicle, let him pay the chauffeur. That's my argument. Elsewhere around the world, you have prime ministers who go on bicycles to the office. Yes, we saw that in the Netherlands, for instance. And that was a big plus. A big plus for the leader. Okay? So, but our leaders, particularly in African countries, this is a malaise, really. In African countries, we have leaders who are totally out of sync with altruism. There's nothing like selflessness in their dictionary.
Okay.
Yes, nothing like selflessness. All they do is grab and grab and grab. And at the end of the day, it is the people that suffer. Okay? It is the people that suffer. Unfortunately, again, for African people, they see all these things, but what can they do? They are shortchanged on a regular basis, but what can they do? They have been boxed into a corner. But I think that governance must take root properly. Good governance must take root properly. And there's nothing wrong in being simple in our spending patterns, in our expenditure. Must be simple. In Nigeria, for instance, our leaders buy what they don't need. Yes, they buy the things they don't need to the detriment of the people. Yes, and these things are there. Every day we see them on the pages of newspapers. People talk about them. Go to the average filling station, they talk about them. Go to the marketplace, they talk about them. So what I would suggest is our leaders once in a while should leave their cocoon and go out and ask people basic questions. What do you want us to do for you? There must be an interface between the leaders and the led.
Okay.
There must be an interface on a regular basis. I said it before. I'm not sure it was on this program, but I think it was maybe a reaction to some newspaper stories that, look, governors, for instance, should go incognito once in a while. Go to places. Dress as if you're a pauper. Yes, it's not a skit. I'm not talking about a skit. Go there, dress ordinarily, so they don't know. You can wear a face cap to hide your identity. You can even drive to the place, to the filling station. Ask people, or rather get the feelers from people. Go to the marketplace. Go to places that can give you the correct assessment of what you're doing as a leader. And you will be surprised. You'll be shocked at what the people will say. Okay? So deliberately one day I went on the bus, public transport. I left my car. I said, let me even feel what the people are saying. And I was shocked. That's what they are saying. And in any case, we take them for granted. Those people, we take them for granted. They know more than you and I sometimes. They even proffer solutions to some of these problems that we have. But by and large, I think what we are discussing on this occasion is that we must cut down on the cost of governance. All those humongous allowances. We must do away with them. We don't need them.
Exactly.
Yes,
That
leaders must buy what they need.
Okay.
Yes,
It brings me
and
to
there
my-
must be less emphasis on ostentation.
Okay.
Yes, less emphasis. Okay.
And so that brings me to my next question. You've always talked about strengthening institutions. Definitely, there is a body that is supposed to regulate the salaries and allowances of the senators, because this question has been asked over time. The senators themselves, they cannot pass a kind of legislation that their salary should be cut. I don't think that is possible. They wouldn't want to do that, although it is possible.
Well,
And
it's possible.
It's possible, but they wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, and so when those institutions, strengthening institutions, that body that is supposed to be in charge of the salaries of the senators, what is happening? Is it the same story as regards Nigerian institutions?
It's the same. It's the same. And I'm happy you asked this question, because you see, they formulate some of these policies. They may not be the ones to formulate, but at least they regulate. It's a regulatory body, okay? But they have the powers. They say, look, this is what a senator must earn. This is what a House of Reps member must earn. In relationship to the economy. You cannot have an economy, well, according to them, that is struggling to survive, and then you have a section of the populace, the leaders, who are less than 1% anyway. Yes, probably less than 1%. But somebody gave a good analysis the other day in one of the newspapers. That look, the money voted for the National Assembly is more than what is voted for the Ministry of Health. That sounds strange. It's odd. Yeah, how many people do we have? I mean, you have just about 109 or thereabouts in Senate, some 300 and something plus in the House of Reps. So if we put all of them together, you're talking about 500 people.
Yes.
Or a little over 500 people.
Right.
So, but how much do they take home compared to sectoral allowances?
Okay.
By sectoral allowances, I mean budgeting.
Hmm.
Okay. What do we budget for education? What do we budget for health? And these people are taking the big chunk. These are the same people who will not attend a local hospital when they are sick. At the slightest opportunity, jet out to Saudi Arabia or perhaps to India. India is the big thing now. And India, yet, a few years ago, it was a developing country like Nigeria.
Exactly.
Yes, but they took the bull by the horn and said, no, never again. Now we are running to India. Very soon we'll be running to Malaysia or somewhere for health reasons. And I will look forward to a day when we cancel. I don't know this phrase where it's coming from, medical tourism or whatever. It just doesn't make sense to me. What is medical tourism? If we must do medical tourism, let us encourage people to do medical tourism to our country.
Exactly.
Not for us to go out. No. We have a lot of doctors who are outside this country. We should engage them properly so that people can know that, yes, Nigerian doctors are good. After all, come to think of it, I know some hospitals in Benin that are manned by Indians. Yes. Doing well. Yes. And Nigerians, at the slightest opportunity, they run to Dubai. There are two major cities in UAE, United Arab Emirates, Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
But Dubai is more developed. They run there, but they forget that Dubai is in the desert. And people planned Dubai. They sat down, they reasoned it out that, look, we must do something about this. They did. Nigerians are running there. They are running to Ghana to put their children in schools. Yes, great schools like Legon. Nigerians are putting their children there. Okay. Whereas a few years ago we said no, Ghana must go. The people went back to their country and they got organized properly. And today we are sending our children to Legon in Ghana. Okay. So we must look at all these parameters and begin to think that why are we doing what does not seem right?
Okay.
Yes, it doesn't seem right by any stretch of the imagination. Nigerians have the right to enjoy good life. Good life is not the exclusive preserve of people up there. Ordinary folks on the street, they should enjoy the good life. Look at fuel, for instance. Nobody's talking about that. I understand that about 4 now are running on stream, and yet the price of fuel has not gone down. That's an oddity.
It keeps increasing.
It keeps increasing, an oddity. Okay, so we must look at governance as against giving it a human face. Yes, on the basis of giving it a human face. Yes, that's what governance is all about. It's all about altruism. It's all about compassion. In fact, compassion is at the base. It holds all the other strands together. And so when you have compassion in terms of leadership, then you have got it right.
All right.
Yes.
Are you? Would you be of the opinion that if you make political office less juicy, niceties that you get from being a political leader, that you find more viable individuals coming in, because then they will be much more selfless. They are not coming in because of you.
Yes.
Are you of that opinion?
Beautiful. In fact, not just having an opinion about that. I'm an advocate of that.
Okay.
A very strong advocate. Look, but you must tie that to the electoral process.
Okay.
Incidentally, you must tie it to the electoral process. The electoral process keeps throwing up the wrong people, and the wrong people are there for the wrong reasons, and they cannot govern appropriately. But that's by the way. We'll discuss that some other time. Now, the issue you raise is vital, because I have always thought that, look, for political office holders, when you make the offices less attractive, that's when you get the best. They will know that they are going to serve and not to be served.
Okay.
That's when you get the best. Now, what is happening? They go there to be served. Not just that, they go there for their own personal interest.
Okay.
And that's against the ethics and the needs of governance. We are talking of the niceties of governance. It's against all the niceties of governance. And I believe that it can still be done. It's not too late. Let us take a second look at the high cost of governance, for goodness sake. The number of ministers, the number of administrators, of parastatals, the number of special advisors, the number of commissioners.
Exactly.
Some of these things are a big drain on the economy of this country. A very, very big drain. And I believe, as many people do in this country, that we can do a lot better. A lot better.
All right.
Yes.
You just mentioned the electoral process. And if we remember, some time ago, some individuals commented on the amount that we spend on the electoral process, especially when it comes to by-elections. What is your take on this?
Not just by-election, even off-cycle elections and general election. Okay, we spend so much, billions, I'm talking about billions, and yet we don't get the right results.
Exactly.
And it bothers a lot of people.
That's
I
my
said
point.
something.
We'll talk about BVAs and all that.
Yes, I said something the other day.
Yes.
That is part of the thing. I mean, we are spending so much. We are spending so much. It's part of governance. We are spending so much to deliver an electoral process that is seamless. Okay?
Yeah.
But look at what is happening in this country. Every election goes down with reduction in the number of people who come out to vote. The number of the people who come out to vote keeps reducing with every election. And that tells a lot of stories. It means that on a regular basis, people are not particularly interested because they believe that their votes are not going to count. Yes, we've seen that. I mean, we've seen it in virtually all the elections. Okay, where you have 3 million sometimes, at the end of the day, you have only about 800,000. There's a shortfall, huge shortfall. And there must be a reason for that. So I believe that what we are spending, even on the electoral process, is too huge. It's too huge. Now, if that correlates with the kind of result that everybody expects, no problem. No problem whatsoever.
Okay.
But what do we find? And it's a big question. What do we find at the end of it? Yes. Look, take the police, for instance. The average policeman will tell you that it's not getting enough. Yes. And it is obvious. Look at the way policemen are kitted. Look at the way they are kitted. Some wear rubber slippers and are going on very serious beats. Yeah. Our money is voted for them. Year in, year out, money is voted for them. Money is voted for our security personnel. We're on the front line. I mean, we're fighting Boko Haram and all of that. They should be made happy. Very, very happy. And that is because we must take from here and put here.
Okay.
You understand? We must juxtapose very, very well. What are we giving this sector? Let's take from this sector and add to that. It's just a question of doing the right mathematics down the line. Okay. For instance, the United Nations says a specific amount of money must be voted for an educational sector. We must abide by that.
Okay.
Yes.
Coming from the legal angle, I want to know your opinion as a lawyer. Does the law have any role to play in curtailing the excesses of high cost of governance?
It's a very interesting question. In fact, it's even jurisprudential, but I'll tell you this. Some of these things we see. Yes, okay, yes, there are provisions, but the thing is, they are not justiciable.
Okay.
The governor, at the end of the day, you might ask him, why did you not spend money like this to fix this road and all that? And the governor will tell you, please, we haven't got the appropriation. We haven't got... maybe the budget the amount from the contractor was too high or something, and that's why we had to do what we did. So you really cannot. I mean, obviously, they would give reasons and excuses. But the direct answer to that is this. We must strengthen the institution of the legislature.
Okay.
Yes, because that's where you have the oversight function. Because after all, come to think of it, every budget goes through the House. Every budget, whether it is the state, even at the local government level, they have legislative arm at the local government level. But what do you find in this country? The governor pockets the House of Assembly.
Exactly.
Yes, they become a toothless bulldog. Whereas they are function. Look at what is happening in advanced countries. In the U.S., for instance, Trump is the president of the U.S. now. He's a Republican Party president. But you'll be shocked that when something happens in that country, Republicans in the Congress, they will vote against him. But that is not common in this country. It is not common. Because I will go back to the issue of oversight. How many instances have you seen that the legislature will tell the governor, no, you cannot spend this amount? Yeah, you cannot spend this amount. Rather, what they do, when the governor says, I have 1 billion for a particular sector, they will say, no, it's not enough. They will put 500 million in addition to it. Why do they do that? You and I know the reason why they do that. Whereas they have not told us the reason why 1 billion will not be enough. You must go into specifics. Why 1 billion will not be enough. You must give reasons. Now they up it so that one or two things can happen. Okay? So, but we must strengthen the institutions of the legislature, both at the national and the state level, so that they can perform their oversight functions. Even at the committee level, I'm not talking about plenary. At the committee level, they can make suggestions that, look, we think that this Minister of Health is going beyond this or that or that. You call the minister to question. Okay? That's one of the duties. But what do we find?
And so I don't know if this my last question is still going to border on the legislator. We've seen the legislators. We've seen the situation in the past where to renovate a building will cost over 600 million. And they will wonder how much would it take to actually build that same apartment. And this comes from the very top. Who curbs such excesses?
Of course, the legislature. Because before you spend the amount, it must go through the process. It must go through the legislature. Okay? And you have bids anyway. I mean, if you're going to construct or refurbish or whatever, you have bids. These things must be subjected to scrutiny.
Okay.
And who does this? It is the legislature. They will tell you outright, no, Mr. Governor, we don't have this kind of money, we cannot spend this. Because sometimes most of these expenditures are so meaningless. And you are right. Most times, you are renovating a building, you are spending 2 billion. It has happened in some states.
Exactly.
A governor comes in and he said, look, I want to look at these figures again. Remember the issue of a governor, I don't want to mention the name. Yes, in one of the eastern states. He came in, he was voted in, and he looked at the figures and said, no, he spent roughly about 50 million as against what was voted in before, just to renovate government house. And in any case, I've been in government, for instance. Why do we need to spend so much money on renovation? A governor is coming in, is renovating everywhere, he's cleaning up, rat poison, all sorts of things. So, I mean, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all. You must change the fleet of cars that you have. And these cars are brand new cars. There's no pressure on them. Yes, the cars used by governors, no pressure on them. They are brand new cars. SUVs, brand new car. Then you must change the whole lot and bring in fresh vehicles. And coupled with that, it has happened to my own understanding. A governor is going on an inspection tour, maybe a road project. For heaven's sake, go with the Commissioner for Works.
Yes.
He sits with you at the back.
Mm.
As you are going, you are discussing with him. The ADC is at the front. It's doable. The ADC is at the front, just two of you. Maybe the pilot can the escort. Okay, just three of you. You go to the place, not incognito, because people around will know, or the governor is visiting this project. And you finish, you go back to your respective offices. Go back to your work. Because we're paid to work. What do we find? A governor is going to inspect a road project. He goes with the Commissioner for Women Affairs. I mean, I've never seen a thing like this in my life. He goes with a whole horde. In fact, he empties the executive. No work is done that day. Why? Whereas you can go. If you are going to inspect a project that has to do with women affairs, go with the commissioner. Go with the commissioner, just two of you, and come back. Then there's another vehicle for the press. That's all. Why do we need a whole host of and they disturb public peace, by the way, blowing siren all over the place. I always remember Governor Yegu. Yes, Governor Yegu, maybe because he's a technocrat. He used to tell the pilot drivers, please, no blowing of siren, let us go quietly. You can't disturb public peace because you are doing this to taxpayers. You are driving them off the road. Why? Why must you do that? Yes, and you go quietly. Quietly. You need to see what they do on the highways, and a lot of lives have been lost. This is not particularly allied to what we are saying, but I think it's important. It's part of it, though, because you have a fleet of vehicles on the highway at breakneck speed, over 140 kilometers per hour, and a lot of them run into the bush, and a lot of lives have been lost. Yes, in the process. Okay, so we must be simple in what we do, very simple, and I think that is where we opt out.
All right. Thank you so much. Like I would always say, I would like to go on and on and on, but then we'll have other programs scheduled for your viewing delight. Once again, Dr. Yariva, thanks for coming to the studio, and you are viewer out there. Thank you so much. Remember to tell your friends and family about Providence Television International. Please stay tuned.